Washington's off season is mostly done. There could be more to come. But what are your sort of post-draft, post-free agency, much of it, thoughts on next year's team? I've kind of laid out the situation in the NFC. There's, some depth in the NFC and some really good teams, including the defending champions. Washington's over-under win total is 9.5. That's down from where it was pre-draft in a lot of spots. There were some spots that had it at 9.5. But would you go over 9.5 wins or under 9.5 wins? I'm sure we'll do this again as we get towards training camp or during training camp. But right now, I want to, learn from you in terms of what you think about 2025. I do think that there's some fear out there about a sophomore slump season for Jaden Daniels. You can vote, by the way, if you want to. I put up a Twitter poll, X poll, at Kevin Sheehan DC. It's simple, just over or under 9.5 wins. I'll give you my answer before we get to the phone lines, which we do have a line open at 301-230-0980 if you want to weigh in. I'm going over 9.5, but let me just make sure that I'm clear about one thing. I think 12 is going to be a tough feat to match from last year. I just look at, the schedule, and I'm not a big schedule guy typically, other than having fun with it over the next week at this time. Probably my mock schedule. Next week, maybe early the following week. May 14th, I think, is the date that it comes out. So it's just that when you've got Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Tua and Jalen Hurts twice and Jared Goff in the Lions offense and Sean Payton, Bo Nix in the Broncos and whatever, Seattle's going to throw at you with Sam Darnold. And I would probably put that to a lesser extent. You probably have to include Dak in the 2 games against him. You have, at least on paper going in, if you get the teams on your schedule that play like they did last year, it's just going to be a little bit tougher, and the tough part of it will be that you're going to just face a slew of better quarterbacks. And your weakness last year was defense. Doesn't mean it will be in 2025. I don't see 12 wins right now, but I definitely see 10. So I would go over 9.5. I think if last year was one of those fluke seasons that NFL teams have that Washington really never had, but where they win 11 games with, an average to, subpar quarterback, and they won a playoff game and then lost one, I think I'd probably look at under. But as long as number 5 is the quarterback, and I also have great confidence in the coaching staff after 1 year overall. Cliff Kingsbury in particular in that offense, I just don't see taking a major step back. I think Debo could be a massive weapon for this team. I think they've got better pass protection at the very least with Laramie Tunsil. I see over 9.5, and I see probably around 10 or 11 wins. 12 might be difficult. And, the Eagles, by the way, have a similar situation where it's not going to be much easier for them. It'll be more difficult for them. That's the race in the NFC East. I don't look at Dallas and think, they've got a better team on paper. I felt that way last year. I don't feel that way this year. I look at the Giants and I see an absolute, really good roster on defense, but you still have major quarterback questions. So I would go over 9.5, not under it, even though I don't see 12 wins necessarily next year. Max, where would you go?
I think Vegas has done a really, really good job at setting this line. Just looking at the schedule next year, it's going to be tough. Like the NFC North and the AFC West, 2 of the top divisions in football. It's going to be a dogfight. This team, the way it's constructed right now, I feel like they're going to try and win games like 50-45. But for that reason, I have a tough time going over, but I think it's going to be really, I think they're going to be somewhere around 9 wins. So for that, I'm going to go under. But the closer we get to the season, that could change. But right now, I'm just going with my gut. I think they're going to have somewhere. I think it's going to be 9-win season this year.
All right. So you're just slightly under.
Just a little bit.
Just so you know, Washington's over-under number at 9.5 is one game short of Detroit and San Francisco on average. This is kind of a consensus of all of the over-unders on multiple sites. I mean, San Francisco is still, odds makers have a really good feeling for this team. It's all about them staying healthy. You know, if they put their best players on the field consistently over a 17-game season, they'll be better than they were last year. Detroit's at 10.5, and then there are 4 teams at 11.5. The top 3 teams in the AFC, Baltimore, Buffalo, and Kansas City, and then Philadelphia. In the 9.5 win total, Washington, Tampa, the Rams, the Packers, the Bengals are at 9.5. The Broncos are at 9.5. Houston and the Chargers are as well. You know, one of the reasons, too, that Washington's 9.5 number, maybe, you know, based on last year, isn't slightly higher, is Washington has, as do the other NFC East teams, they have the NFC North, which you could argue going into the season is the best division in football top to bottom. Doesn't always work out that way. And they have the AFC West. So they are playing Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago, and Green Bay. And they are playing Kansas City, the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos. So in addition to the division teams, that's what they have. And then you end up with 3 other games. In their case, they've got games against Seattle at home, Miami on the road, which could be Madrid, possibly. And then they also play Atlanta on the road. And that's based on where they finished in their division. All right, 301-230-0980. Over 9.5 wins, under 9.5 wins, and why. This is, you know, we're at that point in which the rosters are pretty much set. Not completely, still things that can happen. But for the most part, we now know what this team will look like on paper, roster-wise, heading into training camp. And their numbers at 9.5. You going over or under? Let's start with Scott. Scott, go ahead.
Good morning, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm well, Scott.
Hello?
I'm well, Scott. How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm saying under for a lot of the reasons you just brought up. The schedule's going to be difficult with the NFC North, AFC West. And then they have to play the second place teams in the division. Miami, I'm not too worried about. I'm also concerned about the improvements they made on the defense. I don't know if they've done enough, but we still have some time to see if they get some pass rusher in free agency. I think Jaden's going to be fine. He seems like the type of guy, he knows how to, he sees things. If something's not working, he can adjust. I think he's going to have a good year. I think the offense is still going to be good, but I just don't think the defense is going to improve enough to really get them better than 8 or 9 wins.
Yeah.
I also think they have a target on their back now. You know, the year before last, they were a 4-win team, and we were seen as rebuilding, and all of a sudden we win 12 wins or 12 games. But if you cut me off, I just wanted to say I've been listening to you for a long time. I really like the history of radio and stuff, and you're a great broadcaster.
Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate it. You know, something that you said is, I think if you are just taking it at, I'm looking at this roster, I know what it was last year, I know some of the players they added, you just say, look, offensively, they should be really good. They got Jaden Daniels, and they upgraded on their offensive line. They added another playmaker in Deebo Samuel. At times last year, this was as good an offensive football team as any in the league. They certainly finished as a top 5 kind of overall offensive football team. They're going to score, and they're going to be tough to stop. But defensively, they weren't very good last year, even though they had some good players. And it doesn't appear to me like they did enough during the offseason. To me, that is an absolute reasonable position for us outside looking in to take. How they feel, I think they feel differently about what they've added defensively. I think they feel like some of the pieces they added are perfect fits for what they're trying to do, whether it's a Kinlaw or a Wise or even an Eddie Goldman or a Jonathan Jones, etc. I think they feel good about what they've done defensively. And I think, there's an understanding, because this is a bright group, that, one season of bad defense does not mean the next season, even if you don't add significant, upgraded personnel, doesn't mean you're going to be bad again. But that's a reasonable position right now for all of us on the outside looking in. Should be a great offensive team. Jaden's a legitimate MVP candidate, right? He's the 5th pick right now, odds-wise, to win the MVP. You'll see as we go through the summer and approach the regular season, you'll see a lot of people out there predicting Jaden to win the MVP. I mean, I'm not saying more so than Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes, but there will be a lot of people saying Jaden Daniels is going to win the first MVP award of his career. When's the last time we had that? Never. RG3, there were certainly thoughts during his rookie season that we were watching a guy that would eventually win an MVP. Dead wrong. This guy's a different guy overall. 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. We are through much of the offseason. Washington's over-under win total is 9.5. Are you going over or under? Let's go to Lou in D.C. Lou, what's up?
Kevin, what's going on, man?
What's going on,
How you been? Everything good?
Everything's good, brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna say over. I'll go as far as going to 13 because I think the defense got better. That's number one. Last year our number one corner was Benjamin St. Jude. So trust me, Jonathan Jones is way better than him, and Will Harris. That's another addition to the defensive side of the ball, and as far as the D line, I think we added a good piece of who could stop the run as well. So I think we got better, and as far as Jaden goes, he got a bunch of weapons for him, the O line and Debo and some of the rookie guys that we got. So I think we got better. I felt like we could go 13-4, if not 14-3. That's how I'm looking at it.
All right.
I just don't see.
Lou, you've always been super glass half full optimistic. When you said Jonathan Jones, to me, it would be, if they're much better at corner, it's because Trey Amos, their 2nd round pick, turned out to be ready to play like Sanders still was last year. But more importantly than that Marshawn Lattimore came back healthy, prepared, acclimated, and ready to play football at a high level. Because talent-wise, at corner, Marshawn Lattimore is still, the best talent they have at corner on the roster. So we got to see Marshawn Lattimore be Marshawn Lattimore. If you tell me right now Marshawn Lattimore has a year like some of the years he had in New Orleans, the defense got a lot better. No doubt.
One more addition, if they could add either Von Miller or Darius Smith, and I think that will put us to the hump, to try to get to 14 or 15 wins. So, look, man, I think we got better. People, say they nervous, the defense, this and that. I think we good, man. I think we could beat Philadelphia if we line up right now. So that's how I'm looking at it. I'm always optimistic.
Yes, you are.
Everything they doing right now is the right thing. So, yeah, man, thanks for taking my call, Kevin.
All right, Lou. Von Miller. Interesting. He's 36 years old, 37. He last year, because I looked this up the other day when I was looking up stuff on Zadarius Smith, I think he finished top 10 PFF in pass rushing pressure and grade last year. He was very sort of a specialized pass rushing guy for Buffalo last year. Yeah. Interesting, when the Rams added him, it worked out well for them in 2021. Von Miller is just a pro too, man. He is a pro. You bring him into your locker room, you don't have any issues. You've got a mentor for some of the other guys. You have Von Miller and Bobby Wagner in your locker room. That would be interesting. Zadarius Smith, interesting. Zadarius Smith could be an all-down kind of, edge for them if they went that way. Von Miller is going to be a pass rush specialist. I think that's the way I would view him if they brought him in. How old is Von Miller now?
36.
36 years
Yeah.
old. I was right. Going to be 37. Last year, all right, here it is. Last year, 11th best pass rushing grade on PFF. I said top 10, so it was 11th. 6 sacks on 209 pass rushing snaps, 32 pressures and 23 QB hits. He's a pass rusher, man. He has always been a high level and at times in his career an elite pass rusher. There's still something out there for them to add. And the difference between thinking about players like Zadarius Smith and Von Miller and Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins, etc., is that they're not, they're answering the phone. Where we went through, years and years where, I'm not going to D.C. I'm not going to go to that train wreck. And now they're looking at it as got a chance to compete for a Super Bowl.